March, April, May, June down to December. God, you've been so good. You've been so good. You've been so good. Count my blessings, name them one by one. You've been so good. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You've been my lawyer, shelter, helper, provider, healer, helper, God. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You are all I need. You are all I want. Mighty God. March, April, May, June down to the...
Well, welcome to Impact Live. My name is Felix Akordazi, and it's good to be back on your screens. If you're watching us on television, I want to say welcome to you. And if you're watching us on TV, as I always say, this is Impact Live. You can alternatively go on our YouTube page, that is IMPACTLIVE, that is Impact Live with Felix Dazi, and you'll be connected to whatever we're sharing right here on Impact Live. Well, today I will be talking to a man I so admire. He's like a big brother to me, and the wisdom that always emanates from him is amazing. Met him way back 4 to 5 years ago, and he's been amazing. Listening to him on television talk and also preach with some of the amazing works he does, I said today we have to do something. He's one of the busiest men in town you can ever find in town. So today we have him as a privilege, my guest for today. When I come back from this break, I will introduce him. Don't go anywhere. This is Impact Live, and my name is Felix Dazi. We'll talk.
March, April, May, June down to December. God, you've been so good. You've been so good. You've been so good. Count my blessings, name them one by one. You've been so good. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You've been my lawyer, shelter, helper, provider, healer, helper, God. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You are all I need. You are all I want. Mighty God. January, February, March, April, May, June down to the...
Welcome back. You're still watching us right here on Impact Live. My guest for today, as I told you earlier on before we went out, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go on YouTube. If you're watching us on television, go on YouTube, and then it is IMPACTLIVE, and then you'll be connected to whatever we are sharing. My guest for today is the one and only Rev George Kellin Welmakor. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Did I mention the name well?
Yes. Even if you don't mention it,
we'll take it like that. How are you doing, sir?
We are favored.
Okay. It's been like how many years we did something like this?
It's been countless years.
Yeah.
It's been
Good
countless
to see
years.
you.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see
We
you.
are growing old by the day.
You're still looking young.
Really? I think the stress is even too much. Because the
stress
last time I was looking at myself, I said, well,
is that
if
mean?
the stress can go down a bit, I can be a fine boy.
I know, right? But you're still a fine boy. I mean, the stress is to bring the money, and the money is coming. So
Oh, the money is low.
but it's
We are still
coming.
dragging it. It's like we are farming for the money now. It's not, the fruits are not ready yet. So we'll have to wait for the harvest time.
You have to. But how have you been? How's 2023 been?
Oh, so far so good. So far, I think 2023 rather has brought God much more closer, because
Okay.
anytime I speak to him, I get his response
Okay.
much faster than before.
Okay.
And I think so far it's been excellent.
How do you speak to God?
Well,
let me start with that.
I naturally, my way of talking to God, it's not in that hard way, struggling way. I speak to God like my father. And that's how I train my children too. I go to the altar and I talk to him one-on-one. Daddy, good morning. Thank you for the new day. I'm setting out for this and that and that. And by your promises, please send forth your spirit to go ahead of me.
Okay.
This is what and what I want to do. I know it's difficult, but you can do it. And if you do it for me, this is what I'm also going to do for you. Usually, I tie my promises to the underprivileged. For example, I was trying to sell my vehicle in January. And I knew very well that if I don't speak to God about it, it would take so much time.
It would take so much time, okay.
And so I tried the first week. I had people calling me for the amounts I wanted, but they were not coming back. Second week, and I had to travel. I was away for 3 days. When I came back, I told my kids that, look, we are going to tell God, we are going to talk to God. And we are telling him we are selling that car. And when he does it, you know what we do? They say, yes, we know. They know we'd have to do something. So I went back to the prayer room with the boys and we prayed in the morning. That was on a Monday morning. And this is not the first time. It does happen every time I do it. Just told God that I'm selling the Picanto. Please, if you sell it for me before the week ends, I'll take this amount to bless the needy. That was a week before 14th February. So I went to the office and I was called by someone. And in fact, I had 3 offers. So I started bluffing. Oh no, I won't take that price. I won't do this. I won't do this. Eventually, I came back on Friday evening.
Okay.
And Saturday morning, the people were pressuring me. I had to go to where the vehicle was. And it was just done. When I came back, I placed my money down. So the next Tuesday was chocolate day in Ghana.
Chocolate day in Ghana.
This is the first time I bought chocolates to the tune of that amount. So when I came back, I went to the altar and said, Daddy God, I made a promise to you for this, but you see, I have spent more than that too. Please note it down against this. So that's how I speak to God.
You communicate with him like a friend.
My father, yeah.
Okay.
But
like your father.
As for the thank you, it's a norm that when you go out and you open the door and enter, you first have to say thank you to him. Even if you're not going to the prayer room, you say thank you to him because we made.
Oh, you have a prayer room?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. You have a prayer room.
Wow.
Dedicated for prayer. The things we pray about are pasted on the wall.
Wow. Wow. This is my first time hearing that. Someone has a prayer a room. Yeah. I know people have it, but they don't talk about it. But this is the first time I hear. You have a room for prayer.
We have a designated room for prayer.
Okay.
The word of God said in Job that speak to the earth. And so we have the sand from the beach there in the bowl. The earth, we came from the earth and we call it Mother Earth. If you know the Bible, because of you're on air, I don't want to say all the things. Sometimes people have to seek knowledge from others. Okay. So we have the sand. There are times that when we are going out on a journey, we speak to God and we speak to earth. That if anybody, any evil spirit summons us justly or unjustly to it, she is Mother Earth. She should reject us. She should reject the summons by the power of God. And we take the sand and put, because that is where we are from. So we show our identity. Similarly, when you go to the Catholic Church, they do Ash Wednesday to mark the things.
Wow. This is deep. I know if it wasn't for television, you would have spoken about it into detail.
Sometimes people have to seek knowledge.
Exactly. So you have a remarkable ministry, Citadel of Faith Worship International. We'll get to talk about it. But first of all, let's talk about your ministry. You are a Reverend Minister, but you didn't start out as a Reverend Minister.
No.
Did you know this was what you were going to do?
I never knew. I have often run away from the calling. I'll first and foremost say thank you to my mother. She's a Lady Deacon at Royal House Chapel.
Okay.
As at that time, there is now a Reverend Emmanuel Agomada. As at that time, he was an armor bearer for Apostle General. And he was the one he just sent to come pick me. I remember that I jumped the wall and ran away. My mom would always have issues with me that, look, I am not taking you to a shrine. I am taking you to God. Why are you always running away? I said, I don't want to go to any church. I love my Catholic church because you go, you sit down, you know, it's a formality. When they are done, you just get up and go. But this one, they talk, and then they you know, as at the time, they cast out demons, they
and
pray, the hard prayer. And in fact, I never wanted to. Then you go out, or let me say, we used to go out. I was working with the brewery at that time, and then let me cite this very instance. I was coming from Tema. I think by then the Adum FM was in Tema also. One of that. And I just finished an interview on beer. I won't mention which of them. Beer. To tell the people to go and take Omoto. Oh, okay, fine. We call it Star Omoto beer. On Sunday.
Okay, on television.
On radio.
On radio, okay.
Yes. The late Eko Blankson was my boss.
Okay.
So he will call you and say, go here, do this. Then I had to go back for something in the evening. Then around Community 2, where they now have the Action Chapel, there was a crusade there. And there was traffic on the road. Those times traffic was even worse than now. So I packed and decided to go there because we were playing worship, and I love worship naturally. Then I heard someone said, now I can say I heard the pastor, said, there's a gentleman who has just parked a BMW behind. God is calling you. Come forward now. You have been running away from the call of God. I come and see speed.
Just like that.
I was like, what do you mean? So I just moved, stayed in the traffic, got home, sat down. I didn't even go out again. I was like, what is happening? Then there was another time I followed my mother for morning prayer. In fact, I never liked it.
You never liked the calling,
the call and the prayer,
and all
I followed
that.
my mother, and one tall man, he said, "Who? Ubeye nyame ejuma, ubechi wo wiase nyina ye nyame ejuma." I looked at him. From that time, I refused going to the prayer meeting again.
You just decided not to go again
Because I said I didn't want to be a pastor. But anywhere you go, something comes up.
But what was your future ambition then?
Oh, a management consultant, which I am
Which you are now.
But you see, one day we went somewhere. I was with my mom. Because when I came to Accra, I didn't stay with my father's family. I came to stay with my mom because I never stayed with her when I was growing.
Okay.
And we went somewhere, and then the pastor also said, that was the last part that actually opened my eye. There's a gentleman here, you gather, and when you gather, the wind blows it away. I didn't understand what it was. Then they called me out. But my mother understood that I work, I get enough money, and they don't know what I do with it, and it goes away. Wow.
That was a problem.
The problem was me refusing the call.
That's why when you gathered,
It
it goes away. Okay.
That until I do the work of God, I will gather and eat. So according to the prophet, he saw me carrying grains. And you know that biblically grains are fruitfulness.
Okay.
And then a bird will just come and hit it and everything scatters. And I was like, so that was the first time I sat down to reflect. Okay, let me say the Holy Spirit gave me an insight then. I reflected on the whole thing and said, wow, what's happening? But I don't want to be a pastor.
Why didn't you want to be a pastor by then?
I don't know. But I have seen pastors suffering those times. They walk. They never had cars. They were sweating. And that's not one thing I wanted. I remember I first was asked by my grandpa, who actually took care of me, to go to the seminary. So when I started growing in the ministry, I was like, what was it that he saw and asked that I go to the seminary? So all these things started making sense to me. One day, I was doing my regular events. You know, I had a modeling agency
Wow.
I do a lot of events.
Okay.
Or let's say I did a lot of events.
At that time.
I did Face of Volta.
Wow.
I did Miss Sanitation. Just organize a show.
And you get
And I'll
money.
make my money. God has
Wow.
been kind to me.
Wow. Wow.
So I never lacked. I had my cars. I was living well and all that. And I was working, probably because God, I was favored to be educated. Then one day I was home and policemen came. I said, me, I don't steal. What is it? And someone said you bought a bus from him and you didn't pay. And I said, but this is not a police case. No, the guy has gone to bribe the policeman. When we got there,
you bought a bus from the man, from someone.
from someone,
Okay.
to use for events.
Oh,
But
okay.
he went and twisted the whole thing. That wasn't the agreement.
Okay.
And basically, it was all about the sanitation project then. So I was expecting some money from the local government to make payments, which didn't come. So the police guys were trying to quiz me. So I had documents from Office of the President and the local government, Zoom Lion. So I showed all of it to the people on my phone, the policemen. That this is the thing. I'm not lying. Money hasn't come yet.
Which year are we talking about?
2012.
2012.
Hey,
Okay.
2011, 2012. 2011 there about. Yeah, 2011. So we talked about it, and the police said they were going to investigate. If the documents are genuine, then I'm free. So someone called, and then another person said, he's been watching me on the interviews on TV about this sanitation thing. So one police officer, so I'm not lying. So he called another police officer who was in charge of Teshi, who knew about this too. They witnessed, they watched it on TV. He was a friend and said, wow, you are doing well, coming up with an idea to enhance sanitation, measures in the country. It's good, blah, blah, blah. So I called him and said, what are they talking about? So he called the other police people and told them, no, this is basically a transaction. The person hasn't sold the vehicle. The vehicle is also there. It's not a criminal issue. So I was called and asked to go. So I gave the vehicle to them. Before I was called, I was begging the police people that I was tired. They should let me go into the cell and sleep.
That's what you were telling them.
Yes. I said, if you've arrested me, what am I doing behind the counter from around 4:30 till 7 o'clock? Let me go in and sleep. They said, oh no, they've not entered my case, and I wasn't brought in as a criminal, blah, 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 blah. And I insisted. So they took me in, and the cell guys were like, Papa, wait, or your tourist too, and Fawosa and Kano.
Just like that.
Just like that. They said, oh, you're a tourist and found San Carlos. Somebody also even laid, I was just in shorts and t-shirt. Somebody laid a blanket on the floor and said, oh, Ubeda.
But were you not feeling uncomfortable at the cells?
My mind wasn't even on anything. So before
In the cells?
In the cells. The guy just gave me a blanket to sleep and blah, blah, blah. So I was there, and then they came to call me, come out. Come and come and write your statement. And the guy was like, the CID was there, and another person came, why have you taken me out? I said, I had a call from one big man and said they were interested in the case. And me too, I'm interested in the case. I said, please, the person who called. But before I went out, whilst I was sitting at the counter back and begging them to put me in, something happened. And that's how I decided to give up and accept the call of God. There was this gentleman there who asked me, what brought you? And I said, I bought something, and they said I have not paid. He said, I didn't accept me. I said, I'm even surprised. You could have come to me for us to negotiate, and you take your thing back. But because you knew the people, you decided to. Then the guys, I prayed that morning and asked God that if truly you said I should serve you, I want to see your hand in this. So the guy sat there and said, do you know what brought me here? And I said, no. He said something is going bad for him. I said, what's going bad? He said, as at that time they've come for him, he's supposed to go to somewhere in the eastern region. I won't mention the town anyway. He's going with his friends for rituals to make money.
Wow.
And it was his mother he was sending. So I told him, you are not serious at all. Whilst I am calling my mother to come here, You want to go and sacrifice your mother?
And he was serious about it.
He was serious.
Why? Was it because life was not going on well for him?
Yes. So I had to counsel the guy. And he shed tears and said, maybe God brought you here for me. When he said that, I was like, could it be true?
So he was arrested because of that?
Yes. No, something happened. In fact, for him too, I knew God saved him. They were somewhere and were gathered somewhere planning for the ritual thing, and the police swooped on them.
Okay.
And they caught him alone. So after talking to him, he said, he believes God brought me there for him. And I said, me, who am I? So I counseled him. Let me say the Holy Spirit used me to counsel him, because the things I told the guy and he was crying, I couldn't have. Then I realized that when I was persisting that they should take me and lock me in the cell rather, and they were refusing, it was God's own way
of saving the guy.
He
started weeping.
Yes, and God wanted to show me that I am with you, which I didn't know. I wasn't even married, but I was courting with my wife.
Okay.
Well, so when they asked me to go home, I went home. I was supposed to go somewhere. I suspended the place, washed down, and went to where my mother goes for prayer meeting. When I got there, they were praying.
And your mother had already gone?
No, she had come to by the time she got to the police station, I had a friend from India who was already there and tried to sign the bill. They said it was a self-recognizance bill, so he witnessed it for me. So by the time he was driving, he went for my mom and brought my mom, but I was out. And we went to drop my mom, and I went to my house, went to wash down. The only thing that was in my mind is to go and wash down and go for the prayer meeting.
And did you tell your mom you were coming?
I never told my mom. I went to the prayer meeting and prayed. And the pastor there was watching me.
Was that your first time?
No, that man had come to pray with me so many times.
But you were the one that didn't want to.
My mom will go with me and will pray. He keeps telling me that the hand of God is on you. You will be a good pastor. He has seen. He's a seer. I was just laughing at him. That day, I prayed. The next day, I went myself. The next Sunday, I went. The following Sunday, he asked me to lead prayer. I love worship naturally. And the first thing I saw was rains falling in the auditorium.
Wow.
So I stopped because my face was soaked with tears. Then he came out and said the place is filled with latter rains. So I turned to look at him. So I whispered to him, that is what I have seen. He said, God is here. God is speaking to you. So that was the time I raised my hands. I said, I surrender.
Just like that.
I said, I surrender. Before, I think thereafter, something happened and I collapsed. I ended up at Mana Mission Hospital. My mom called pastors. They came, they prayed. They couldn't find my pulse. My mom was crying. My younger brother is a medical doctor.
Okay.
And my mom's elder brother's son is also a medical doctor. But I'm close to him.
Okay.
So we called him and he called the people. That's my big brother. So they started rushing. They were delaying at the first instance, and then they started rushing. So when I was discharged on the third day, we went home. My mom told me the pastor said he saw an attack because I was giving my life to God to do his work. I had an ashtray on my coffee table. It was glass like this. And the pastor came. How I learned to pray that way, I'll still have to go and ask God how he did it. I prayed with the pastor. I prayed. When the pastor decided to end the prayer and ask me, he said he has never seen a Catholic praying that way. Just when we're talking, the whole room was filled with wind. The curtains, and the next thing, pow! The ashtray on the table just divided into two. It did not fall. And the pastor gave thanks to God and said, they are here. They have given up. For breaking that thing alone, they've given up on you now.
Who has given up on you?
I think the spirits that were fighting me not to like to do, love the work of God.
Do you think spirits were fighting you?
Well, I didn't know that, but that's what he said.
He said.
And now I can say that when God chooses you to do something for him, there is an opposition somewhere else that sees that you are a good vessel and they could use you to satisfy their own things too. It did happen to Jonah when he refused, but the purpose of God was still accomplished. And that's what happened to me. Well, people say I'm a good teacher. I never knew I could be. And I don't even say I am. But I go to places and speak the word of God, and I get to experience a lot of positive impact. And from the day I said I surrender, he gives me a message every day.
The day you said you surrender,
every day he gives me a message.
The people that were with you when you surrendered, your friends, your family, those who knew you, your colleagues, what was their response? How did they used to call you? Because I
said I surrender, and they were calling me Pastor George then. I think my circle of friends, they took it for a joke.
When you said you surrender, they started calling you Pastor George.
No, the church started calling me Pastor George because I had the opportunity to start preaching.
Just like that?
Yes. And so
yours was a call straight into ministry.
But I wasn't ordained when I was
ordained, okay.
But they were calling me Pastor George. I remembered Reverend Abraham, George Abraham,
okay,
sent me to Miracle Chapel, Kwabenya. That was the first time I stood in front of a large crowd. The auditorium was big. So when I was invited, I was like, if you knew this is where you were sending me to, why didn't you go yourself? You were sitting at that small place and asked me to go to this place. So I stood in front of the people to talk. My hand was wobbling.
Literally.
With the microphone. But after talking for about 2 minutes, I was taken over, by the Spirit of God. And I delivered. When we got back to Teshe, he said, wow, I had a good feedback about you. I said, really? So I told him, Rev, please, next time you want me to go somewhere, let me know what to expect. He said, I will not tell you. The Lord will go with you. From that first experience, there's no place you put me now and I'm not able to talk. And so I remembered what God told Moses, that I will be with you. When Moses complained that he's a stammerer.
Wow. So your friends?
To my friends, they never believed it.
Some
will tease, but one of them believed it because before my ordination, I was still being hesitant.
You were still hesitant on the calling?
Yeah. No, before the ordination, I was like, why should they call me a reverend minister? Let me just stay and do the work of God. After I'm doing, this is the word I use, after I'm doing the work. So what else? One day, I was looking for gas to buy. And I drove around from HFC. Was it HFC? I think we're around Brigade area. I couldn't get the gas, so I drove to First Junction. On my way, I saw my lawyer branching, so I stopped him. So we all packed and decided to chat. I asked him, Counsel, why are you here at this time? It's almost 10. Why are you not going to work? He said he overslept. He's going to court around Lekman.
Okay.
So we started talking about other things. So we said, when did you come back? We're talking about the issues. And then we raised the issue of this, me doing my own thing. And then if I even have to accept this call, I want to be on my own. He said, no, you can do your own business. You've been good in your own business before this issue, before you traveled and all that. Then a drunk or a mad person, I don't know, he just walked up to me. As at that time, I had the opportunity to be ordained at Royal Chapel, then I still didn't take. He just walked up to me and said, hey, yes, if you accept to do the work of God, everything will be okay for you. So my lawyer, Livingston, we both of us just turned to look into each other's face. We couldn't talk
just like that.
We couldn't.
The drunkard who you've never interrupted with before.
No. We were just having our discussion by the roadside. We were not even with our car. I parked at the back. He parked. We were in the middle. I will never forget this. So I was like, So he turned to look. I turned to look at him. Both of us were like, what? So I picked my phone and I sent a message to my wife that time that this is what is up. Because she was in favor that I accept the ordination. And someone was sponsoring me into the Bible school too, so I have more insight. I didn't want to. She has talked and talked. So eventually she said, when I tell you, you said mad person, I am yet to. I think just last month, I raised this issue on Facebook and my lawyer came to respond and said, God speaks any way he wants to speak. He in particular, I will call him a witness. So even on my ordination day, he was there. And that's how my friends got to know. He started calling you Pastor George, Pastor Kellin, Pastor George, Pastor Kellin, and all the others followed. But you know, God exposed me to the world quickly. I had the opportunity to be on TV, Zoe TV, a number of times for over a year.
Yeah, I remember.
And so all over the country, especially my hometown, people got to know I was a pastor.
Okay.
Before I became a reverend minister.
Were they surprised too?
No. My background, I was a staunch Catholic. I was a knight of the altar. I read Bible in the church almost every morning because I'll go for morning mass, read Bible, 7 months before I go to school.
Okay.
And so people just said, they are not surprised. The parents have Christians. They are not surprised. That's how it came up. Someone told my wife recently that if he hadn't become a pastor, I would have been surprised. But I never wanted to. But I think people had a different way of seeing me. Like, we were talking about drinks, and my lawyer was like, this one, he never drinks so. Even from school, he never drinks. That's what my lawyer told the people. It's funny. So, like, it wasn't strange,
okay,
to a lot of people.
Okay, but it was just that you didn't want to become.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't want to become.
But
now, I would choose God's work over every other work.
You will choose God's work over everywhere.
But now I will choose God's work over everywhere.
You don't regret entering into ministry?
No, it is not that. It's not an easy work. It's not easy. But you know, when you are genuinely called, you find solutions to every problem.
When you are genuinely called, you find solution to every problem. We'll go for a break. When we come back, we'll look at the genuinity of callings, and I should say Rev George Welmakor is still here with us, and he will be sharing his stuff with us. I trust you've been blessed by this amazing conversation with him. Don't go anywhere. This is Impact Live. We'll be back after this break.
March, April, May, June down to December. God, you've been so good. You've been so good. You've been so good. Count my blessings, name them one by one. You've been so good. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You've been my lawyer, shelter, helper, provider, healer, helper, God. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You are all I need. You are all I want. Mighty God. March, April, May, June down to the.
Welcome back. You're still watching Impact Live right here with me here, Felix Dazi, and we're still here with Rev George, and we're having an amazing time. I trust that you are learning from the things that he's sharing here. Interesting. So you decided to do ministry after this encounter.
Yeah.
And you find it fulfilling?
Very. Then I went back to the Bible school.
Okay.
Apparently, there were people. There was even a bishop
In the Bible school?
Yes.
Okay.
Who will be consecrated into a bishop. They were existing people. But the first 2 encounters, I was just called, and I was off to come. Then they started addressing us Reverend already, because that's the position, and addressing the other person's bishop. So I was called, and I was asked to take the handouts and share. And then when they are done answering the questions, they should bring them to me. I was like, why should it be me? So you'd have to do a presentation and then you preach. And I said, I want to be the last person. They said, no problem. When I went, it was my turn. I stood up to preach, or let's say teach. I saw one of the lecturers nodding the head. And the bishop also did this way. They said 15 minutes. So I was watching. So 14 minutes and 30 seconds, I was done. And they clapped. They said, wow, wow, wow. I was like, what? Then they called me again and gave me assignments. So make sure this and this. And I said, why? They said, but you are the class captain. I said,
just like that.
Why? Because I was already 2 months late.
Wow.
So how do I become a class captain?
Did that confirm to you that you had a special calling over your life?
So they said.
Wow.
So, well, we did, and things went on well. We graduated. I didn't know that ordination takes so much time. I just knew that, okay, it was a weekday. My sister Doris was getting married, so her customary marriage was taking place on that same day. I had taken my kids to school because, you see, I started running away, or okay, let's say I accepted to be the pastor even before I got married, and then I did not go for the ordination till my kids were born and were in school. The first one was in I think class 2 then.
Class 2 then.
And then I agreed. So I would say that maybe God wanted them to witness it. But that day we sent them to school early morning, and we were at the venue. They said 9 o'clock. And I said, oh, then by 12 we should be closed. 12 o'clock, people were still coming. I went out to see. There were people outside for all the other people. Cars parked. And I said, is this how it's done? Then the place was filling up. I said, oh, I thought it's some small thing. Wow, before people came, other bishops came, and they started. And we had to take the vows. I had to give a speech on behalf of the students.
Were you overwhelmed with that?
No, I wanted them to finish early
So
and let me go away. I am not the type who can stay at one place
for a long time.
For such a long time.
Wow.
From 9 o'clock till around 4. I have never done that. So when they finished, there was a reception or refreshment organized for us. I didn't go.
You ran away?
I just asked my wife, sit down quickly, let's go.
Let's get to talk about your ministry, Citadel of Faith.
Yes.
Right? Ministry. Why the name of that ministry?
Citadel means rock.
Okay.
Faith we all know.
Okay.
And it's a worship ministry.
Okay.
And like I said, the aim, which will come to pass too, in God's name, is to build a worship emporium. It is going to be an interdenominational venue.
Okay.
Meant for worship.
Why do you have an interest in worship like that?
I have been created to worship my Creator.
Okay.
If you have to serve, what is the meaning of being a serving? Worship.
Okay.
And I'm a servant of God, so I'm His worshipper.
Okay.
The angels are created or are in heaven worshiping God.
Okay.
You understand? So there's a song that says, the elders and angels bow, the redeemed worship you now. Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. That's one of my songs. one of my favorite songs. So if the elders and the angels, they bow in service, in reverence, in worship. So my auditorium, my gift to God should be a place of worship where people point to, they'll say, when you go there and worship, you'll have breakthrough. When you come there with load and you worship God in truth and in fear, and you reverence Him, the Spirit of God will visit you. We shall see that your face will be soaked in tears, and the answers will come speedily. Because when there is worship around, He does not only send the angels, He comes Himself, because He dwells on the fragrance of worship. He loves worship. Don't forget that his chief musician was the rebel, Lucifer.
Lucifer.
If the man didn't love worship, he wouldn't have said David was a man after his own heart. The psalmist who danced and his clothes tore off. So if you know God, you will know what He wants. When you worship Him, you don't have to ask for things, because before you ask, He knows. We are His children, and He's our Father. He's the potter, we are the clay. He molds us. He's the shepherd, we are the flock. He knows when to take us for grazing and knows when to bring us back into our pen. So we don't have to be bleating meh before He says we are hungry. My children, I know I have to provide food so they can eat. I know they need clothes. I know they need shoes to wear. They don't come telling me, Daddy, I want shoe. When I see their slippers torn, I ask them, why didn't you tell me? Their mother will tell me, but they know you will replace it. Before the day ends, I'll replace it. Are you saying that me, mortal, clay, from the sand that we walk on, if I can think this way, the one who also formed me won't think 10 times better for me? He said, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper. Prosperity doesn't mean money, but it means good health, stable health, financial breakthrough, good marriages, good business, good ministry, good recognition. That is what prosperity means. But most of our people now think when they say prosperity, is all about money.
About money.
Wealth is different from riches.
Wealth is different from riches.
Yes.
Okay.
A wealthy man does not necessarily need to have money, but he will have everything plus good health, because health is wealth.
Okay. Interesting. You combining ministry and work, business. How is it? Is it stressful?
At the moment, I'm rebuilding my business.
Okay.
So I work as a national sales manager for the company.
Okay.
It is extremely stressful. Extremely. Would have to wake up by 4:30 every morning, drop the children in school, and be at work before 8. I want to be at work before 8 because I want to be there before workers come.
Okay.
I travel around the country.
A lot.
And when I travel, I used to think that when I travel, then I'll rest more. But when I travel, rather, I don't rest because I want to finish the work early and come back. Then, when I travel to, and the hotel has a good television that I can get worship, and I'm gone.
That one.
I remember where I returned, where I came from this weekend. It took me about 30 minutes searching for channels. Then I pressed something and the TV wasn't coming. I said, this is a hotel's TV. Let me call them. They came and they reprogrammed it. I looked for songs and then I wasn't getting. Then I chanced on one channel and they were playing some nice worship. I quickly searched it on my phone and downloaded it.
That's all.
Because I knew they would finish there.
When
they were done, then I decided to go to bed and listen to my song, my worship now. And that's what actually put me to sleep. When I returned, I came and then Bluetoothed it to my laptop.
Okay.
Because I play a lot of worship in my, my office. Yeah. So ministry and work is stressful, but I will urge everybody, every pastor, unless otherwise the person is so established and already has businesses. But I'll urge every pastor to have something doing. Because look,
apart from the ministry,
yes,
you must have something doing.
The apostles were working.
Oh, really?
You don't know about the fisherman?
Because someone will say
you don't know about the taxman.
Is stressful.
You don't know about
full time.
You don't know Luke was a doctor, a physician. You don't know.
He was. Okay.
They all had their works. That is how they were able to support the work of God. And when they did not have money, and they told Jesus that they needed to pay for something, he asked them to go and fish. There was a fisherman who had to go. Who was it? Peter? He had to go fish. And they said, the first fish, open it and you will see the money in the fish. If they didn't have workers, if they didn't have a fisherman, they had a farmer, they had a tax collector, they had all kinds of people. That is how you generate. When I am doing my compassionate ministry.
Oh, you have a compassionate ministry?
Yeah, that's called the Heal Foundation.
Okay.
But the motto, I call it the slogan.
Okay.
Is the same as that of the ministry.
Okay.
Healing minds, mending souls. Healing minds, mending souls.
Okay.
We heal the minds on the street. If I were not working, how would I have supported in this? People help, but it's always not enough.
Always, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So through this, when I go to Circle at night, midnight, and I'm holding my phone, me alone, nobody snatches my phone.
Okay, why is it so?
I have become a father to the people under the bridge. My wife went somewhere recently to buy things, and I think she parked the car at my office because of fuel price, what she was going for. So she would take a Totoro and come to the parking lot and pick her car and go away. She said she got to Circle Spintex station, or she asked the person to help. When they got there, the person said he wanted to take 10 cedis or 15 cedis, and she said she would give 5 cedis or so. And the guy was furious and was taking the things away. Then
the guy was taking the things away?
Yes, those junkies. Then she said, then the guy just dropped the thing and said, mother. Then he took the things rather and packed them in the vehicle. It happened to me myself. I came from Takoradi. I was tired, so I left the car at STC.
Okay.
Then I arrived late, around 11:50. I pulled out my phone to call the house and tell them. Then they surrounded me. And I said, hey, Mohu to say. Then they were there. I said, hey, you to say, who carry me? When I was me for blanket to bring last, I said, hey, daddy. Immediately they picked my bags, called the taxi driver and said, Fanoko STC.
Wow.
So I have a slogan.
So you think they were surrounding to do something?
Oh,
of course.
From the experience I have had there and I have witnessed, they'll pick your phone up. Knife point. Yeah. Then something came to my mind, which I have started telling people that the good we do goes ahead of us, and the evil we do lives with us.
The good we do
goes ahead of us,
and the evil
it lives with us. Because if I had done them evil, the evil would have been living with me for them to identify the evil and harm me. But the good I did went ahead of them to let them know that this one, don't harm me. That is how it happens. If you don't understand, your good that you do paves way for you. Somebody was saying, preaching the last time, I think it was T.D. Jakes, Bishop T.D. Jakes, he said, the good things we do for people is a price. No, it was Reverend Sudanaba. The good things we do for people is a price we pay ahead for an evil that has been plotted against us. Because every time else you realize that those you've helped show up at the scene and nothing happens. I have experienced it all my life. When my son wanted a school and they said the school was a Catholic school and they won't accept blah blah blah, and I told them, oh, I have been a Catholic. I've done this for the ministry. I even told them, even the church was roofed by my father, so why are you doing this? And they said, oh, okay, if you are saying you are from Keta, there's a reverend sister from Keta. If she knows you, then we'll take your son. So she'll be here in 3 days. She's gone out now, but she'll be off so and so. I said, okay. Just when we were coming out of the administration block, the reverend sister was coming. She even mentioned my name. So this white reverend minister or reverend sister was like, you know him? He said, yeah, that's our boy we've been sending.
Wow.
The reverend sister said, let's go back.
Just like that.
Yes. And that is how my boy also got admission.
Wow.
My wife went to a hospital when she was pregnant with my second born. Then she sent me a message that the midwife wants to see you. What's wrong? She said she should come. I was at the office. So I drove and went there. I saw my wife seated comfortably. They were serving her.
You were thinking there was a problem.
Then when I got the woman said, do you know you're my cousin?
Wow.
I said no. She said, well, I am the wife of the regional medical director. And I said, wow. But you are my cousin. Are you not Welmakor? I said, yes. She is this, she is this, she is this. Do you know this? I said, that's my father. Do you know this? That's my uncle. So when I saw the name, I said, this is my in-law.
Wow.
So the good you do, it goes ahead of you.
Interesting. This is interesting.
And so ministry is stressful.
Yeah, it's stressful.
But it's worth it.
For someone who wants to do ministry and combine ministry with work, what would be your advice for the person?
If you are working for someone, please let the person know that you are a servant of God. And on so and so times, you may be needed. For me, if I have to go somewhere and they don't agree, I tell them to take it from my salary.
Really?
Yes.
To deduct it from your salary?
If they are not going to give me the day, then I'm trading it.
Okay.
You take the money, I take the day.
Why do you make such decisions?
I owe my life to God. I have been involved in accidents. I didn't die, not a scratch.
Accidents?
My car caught fire, bent. I didn't die.
When was that? When you accepted the call, or it was after?
No, before. I think I started making money early, and I love cars. So the funny thing is that every car that I had seen and said, this car when I grow I'll buy, I have always bought them.
You've always bought them. Okay.
So one day I told myself, I have fulfilled my desire. I am not going to say I want to buy any other car for now. So I even said I am not interested in buying a car for now. But when I am turning 60, I'll buy an autobiography.
An autobiography?
Yes.
Range Rover autobiography.
Yes, I'll buy that.
That's a huge
and
machine.
That is what I said I am going to give up work. I'll run the consultancy. Apparently, I have a belief that the way God is making me speak to people, He will bless me with that car. I don't necessarily need to work with money and buy.
With money and buy.
I've always said it. That we'll go to a place where God will use me to speak to the people. And somebody will just tell me, we are leaving the country. I wanted to sell my house, but you take it. Because we've also lost a building before.
Lost a building?
Yeah, we were not done building, but we've lost it.
Wow.
We've gone through things. And I have not enjoyed self-recognition to the work of God like I am doing now.
Like you're doing now, okay.
So if anybody wants to do ministry and work, yes, the person should work, because ministry is not cheap.
Okay.
That is why some of the pastors devised ways of taking money from people, and then selling water. It is unbiblical. Selling holy water, selling holy handkerchief, telling you, I need 10 people to come and sow 1,000 cities, and such things are unbiblical. Because I believe that if I am going to call you to tell you to come and sow 1,000 cities for a breakthrough, I must first and foremost know what the kind of work you do. If the breakthrough you are asking for can be connected to that work. Because if you don't have knowledge on how to manage the breakthrough, then you will perish.
Knowledge on how to manage the breakthrough.
Yes.
Okay.
Because, for example, somebody who has just learned how to drive, to be asking for a car, and then gets the car at that early age, might end up killing himself. The excitement and the misleading, and then people or he himself being unable to control his passion, and you can kill yourself. So before you go for something, you learn about it, you read about it, you understand it. That is why education is not the act of going to school. It is the act of seeking knowledge and understanding it. Because you can go to school, like we are saying, a young person wants to go into ministry. He can see a lot of people, everybody's doing, so I can do. Or I'm a prayer warrior. Oh, now when I pray, people fall, so I can do. But when you get into it, then you understand that you can't do it. Because you lack the knowledge and you will perish. You lack the knowledge because you refuse to get education. You need to seek education. That is why we serve at the feet of other senior pastors.
Okay.
They impact their knowledge into us. We get the knowledge because the word of God says that my people perish due to lack of knowledge. But you will not perish because you've been imparted. You have had some sort of education. Then whatever gift God has given you, you add it to it. Wow. And then you become a better person. So those who want to go into ministry, I will suggest that they humble themselves, learn from someone. I'm not saying go to this person or this person. There are a lot of good preachers now online. I was on podcast yesterday, seeing a lot of people with good word. Learn from them if you can. Communicate with them. Get to know them. Follow the trend. If that is the gift you have, follow the trend. Practice it. Get closer to other people. Let them know you and give you the opportunity to sharpen your iron.
Okay.
Then you become better. But don't, get into ministry thinking it's a money-making venture. You will fall.
You will fall, exactly.
If you get into ministry and you are working, you will find out that people will push you the more. Don't go to preach expecting people to give you money. If you have, give them. It's a seed you are sowing. When the people are touched and they apply the word of God, the word of wisdom, and they start getting better, you will benefit forever.
And they start getting better, you will benefit. And finally, your final advice to the church and everyone as a whole.
I desire so much that the church, which is the body of Christ, will mend its way and choose the path to impact the generations.
Okay.
With the word and service.
Okay.
The word of God and service to humanity.
Okay.
I also want to urge the leaders of the church. I'm passionate about this. It makes me cry. People should stop being God of men and be men of God. That is my fervent prayer. If the church would make the leaders and the pastors understand that they are servants of God, mediated between the people and God, and desist from being God of men and stay as men of God, a lot of things will go on well. Marriages are breaking because of pastors, because wives are revering pastors,
More than
their husbands. Meanwhile, the word of God says that if you leave your husband in distress and go and say you are going to pray, he will not answer your prayer. So before then, that is why we say that marriage is an institution made by God himself, because it's put in principles. Other preachers have also made it so difficult for wives to respect their husbands. But the principle of marriage is 1 and then 2 and 3. If the wives respect the husbands, it gives birth to love. And then the love gives birth to peace of mind. And peace of mind gives birth to unity in the house.
okay.
Without the respect, all this will diminish. Just as without the seed agreeing to be submitted to the soil, there will be no germination, there will be no tree, there will be no fruitfulness, there will be no harvest.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Insightful stuff you've shared with us. And for someone to locate Citadel of Faith, the numbers and how the person can contact.
Yes, you can call us on 0277
Okay.
229911. 0277 229911. Very simple, the number.
All right.
Yes, or you can still send us WhatsApp message to that number, and we will be with you in healing minds, mending souls.
And you have a powerful devotion that you send out there.
Yes, that is one of the attributes of healing minds, mending souls. Funny enough, I know we are done, but funny enough, if I don't send a word for 2-3 days, things start going wrong in my life.
Wow.
I have experienced it so many times. I'll be lacking. Nobody sends me money for sending that. But once I continue doing, I may not have money in my pocket, but I don't lack. Whatever I want to do, God provides for me, I get it done.
Wow.
Till now.
And have you gotten some positive feedbacks from that? What are some of the impacts that devotion
The impact is, there is this particular man from Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
He said something to me. He's a Nigerian. If all pastors can teach this way, a lot of people will convert from Jehovah's Witness to my church.
Yeah, okay.
And if he doesn't receive the word 2-3 days, he sends a message to ask me, is everything all right?
Wow.
I have not had my food for 3 days. There are other people. Somebody is one chairman for MPP. He told me that is what they use for their morning devotion.
Wow.
So if it's not going, they get worried. I get positive responses. Sometimes I go through the messages and I ask, did I really write this?
Wow. Because those are powerful words. I received that.
I ask myself, did I really write this? There was a time my wife was like, this thing you've written is talking against you. But you see, everything is not rosy. When God puts you in this position, the devil fights you too. And one of the places the devil will use to fight a genuine minister of the word is his marriage. But I have always listened to people like my own Apostle General Sam Kranchi Ankara. I've listened to T.D. Jakes. I've listened to Dageward Mills. I've listened to Isudanaba. I've listened to Daddy Duncan Williams. And I have realized that if they don't attack your children, they attack your marriage.
Wow.
But I'm in my 10th year. I've known my wife for more than 11 years. But we've been legally staying together for, I think it will be 10 years. 10 years in July.
10 years. And his wife was my classmate. We sat in the same class.
I wouldn't say
the same class.
It's rosy.
It's rosy. Okay.
We have our fights. There are times formerly she wouldn't talk and she wouldn't even do anything. But now, even if you're not on talking terms, she knows she has to cook. And for me, I'll sit back and say, it's getting better.
Wow.
But women generally, to all the other pastors there, because I've had an encounter with one pastor who is complaining, and another pastor who couldn't stay in marriage for up to 2 years. He's a reverend minister.
He couldn't.
Yes, he told me, my wife, that when we were having our second anniversary, he said, "Also for Kellin, you've tried 2 years.
2 years.
He couldn't finish 1 year. But I am crossing. It's not easy. But what I know is that someday all the ups and downs will become the lesson notes to nurture other people. As of now, I've had enough experience, and on Valentine's evening, I was somewhere talking, and when I heard the feedbacks, I was like, wow, this is what God can do. And it is okay, and I will keep encouraging all those that are watching that impact life means impacting life. Our experiences so far are things you need to learn from, because only fools learn from their experiences. Wise men learn from other people's experience.
Wow.
Thank you.
Amazing. Need I say more? That is Rev George Welmakor. I trust you have been blessed. You have been blessed. I'll see you same time on our next episode. Don't forget, Jesus is still Lord. Bye-bye.
February, March, April, May, June down to December. God, you've been so good. You've been so good. You've been so good. Count my blessings, name them one by one. You've been so good. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You've been my lawyer, shelter, helper, provider, healer, helper, God. I will not forget. I will not forget. I will not forget. You are all I need. You are all I want. Mighty God. January, February, March, April, May, June down to December.